where he fine-tunes his mastery in assessment product development. In short, Somdev has spent more time assessing talent than most of us have spent deciding what to watch on Netflix. A warm welcome to the talent guru himself. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce a powerhouse of talent and detail, Shramona Banerjee. With over 8 years of experience in the financial services sector, she currently leads the diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy for the APAC region at Moody's. Request all panelists to mute themselves, please. Thank you. Corporation. She's got a knack for data analysis, market forecasting, and corporate communication, all with a customer-centric and strategic touch. Before this, she had a stint bolstering CMBS and RMBS ratings at Moody's and took on the role of co-chair for India's Women's Business Resource Group, supporting professional growth and well-being for female employees. And just when you think she couldn't have done more, she started off at Tata Consultancy Services, handling global clients, designing training modules, and even helping with new customer acquisitions. So essentially, she's the kind of person who makes multitasking look like a walk in the park. Please join me in welcoming Shramona, the multitasker extraordinaire, who probably analyzes. There's a lot of background noise, but people please refrain from turning the mic on. Thank you. Analyzes market trends while making her morning coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce someone who wears many hats: educator, entrepreneur, mentor, and tech enthusiast. Sudhanva Dhananjaya. As the MD and CEO of Excelsoft Technologies, Sudhanva is the powerhouse behind innovative edtech solutions that have reached a global audience. His journey began with a bachelor's in instrumentation technology engineering and took flight with advanced degrees in computer engineering and engineering management. One might say he traded in his engineering tools for a GPS, always guiding technology and education to new heights. But don't let this serious title fool you. He's not just about business and innovation. If you ever need someone to recognize a pattern or process an image, Sudhanva is your man. Yes, he even published papers on those topics back in the day as a faculty member. From founding Excel Public School to nurturing startups through mentorship, Sudhanva's passion for education and social welfare is as vast as his achievements. And rumor has it, he's already got his sights set on the next big thing. Because when Sudhanva dreams, the rest of us are left trying to catch up. Let's welcome Mr. Sudhanva Dhananjaya, a man who proves that technology, entrepreneurship, and a little bit of empathy can truly shape a better world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Vijay, a driving force of innovation and entrepreneurship. She is a distinguished professor at VNMIT Bangalore, leading the charge as head of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell. Not just your everyday academic, she's a Harvard-certified design thinker who's authored 80 international journals and holds patents in renewable energy and smart tech. With 19 years of academic experience and a few years in the industry to spice things up, she has an uncanny ability to turn complex problems into practical solutions, almost like turning water into wine, but much more sustainable. Whether she's mentoring budding entrepreneurs or consulting organizations, Dr. Vijayshree's passion is clear: empowering the next generation to think, design, and build better. Please welcome the innovator, the mentor, and our very own design thinker guru, Dr. Vijayashree Lakshmi. Thank you very much. That was a very long introduction on account of having close to 14 panelists with us. Also, a request to all the panelists, please do keep yourselves muted. There appears to be a lot of background noise coming in from some quarter. And if any of you are projecting your laptops onto a bigger screen, sometimes if your audio is not configured right, that could create an echo as well. So request you to not do that. It'll just interrupt and possibly delay the sessions. And we have a long, tough day ahead. So very quickly, what I'm going to go down into is to actually share with you what we've done in the last day, and also to possibly have an update on. We have somebody sitting at the. Okay, Mr. Thakur has come in. Just a second. Let me try to move him to the front. And Mr. Sudanwa has also joined us. Just give me a minute. He's in fact, like I mentioned earlier, has been traveling and has managed to take the time to join us. Just give me 1 second. Sudanwa. Yes, it was not where I wanted the seat to be, but yeah, I think just give me a minute. Yes, so we've got all of us in the first two rows here. Very quickly going into the last day of what we presented. So what we did see during the day that transpired was essentially a couple of triggers that our panelists recognized in terms of what are the main triggers or stressors that we have seen causing mental wellness challenges at the workplace. And these have been towards work overload, lack of autonomy, workplace conflicts, job insecurity, work-life imbalance, toxic work culture, burnout, lack of recognition. We've all heard these words and phrases quite often. And when we came across the common mental wellness challenges, the panelists felt that anxiety disorders, depression, obsessive compulsive disorders, loneliness or isolation, panic attacks are some of the main challenges that one would place, I would find at the workplace. The matrices that they tried to identify in terms of what impacts and affects mental wellness and the programs that we drive and what you would want to use as a metric to evaluate their effectiveness has essentially been around performance metrics, presenteeism, absenteeism, turnover or attrition, the team dynamics analysis, and conflict resolution matrices. So easy to talk about, difficult to measure, and becomes one of the challenges that we try to address in the long term. Some of the organizations that came by, which was Moody's and Keolis, and so on, that engaged with us yesterday, including Synergy, came up with strategies that were essentially working around EAPs, flexible work, wellness programs, skill development, supportive leadership, and also workload management. And these strategies have been implemented and are constantly being monitored by these organizations to try and help employees overcome their challenges that they face, especially to do with their mental well-being. But still, we look at quite a few unresolved spaces. And the panel also came about to say that leadership plays a very important role. They need to lead by example. They need to create a conducive environment. They need to be the chief listening officer, like one of our panelists mentioned yesterday. And another panelist mentioned that they would like to ensure and see how they would promote self-care. So while we move from that space, what we discussed in day one, we're moving into day two, and we were going to try to address how we're going to break stigma, build awareness. What challenges does DEI bring onto the mental wellness space? What are the occupation-driven challenges and mental well-being challenges? And how are these mental well-being challenges seen in education, both to the educator as well as to the student? So these are a couple of very important areas that we find. One of my colleagues this morning just left her house after a very sad news about someone taking their own life on account of whatever challenge there might have been. She, of course, didn't have time to try and understand it, but this is happening all over. We've seen it in a couple of organizations lately. We've seen it in the education environment very frequently, and the government as well has come up with a lot of policies to try and see on the 4th of January this year. In fact, very evident, very importantly, the government of India under the Ministry of Education brought out a policy for training centers to look at mental wellness of the students, and also to counsel students and their parents and faculty as well, and to make that an ongoing process. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ayushi had a role to play in that discussion as well. But when we look at some of the statistics that we have, and these statistics we must understand are very underplayed and reported. We look at 32% of adults who say they've suffered from a mental health problem at work. 49 of them do not feel that there's an appropriate culture at their workplace to enable people to open up about their mental well-being. And also 54% of them said they were not aware of that there's a mental being support available at their workplace. So awareness itself is one of the key issues for not being able to address it. And when we look at the World Economic Forum, a lot of studies that show for every dollar that's invested in supporting mental wellness, organizations can see a return of close to $4 from productivity. This productivity could be because of improved number of work days by lesser absenteeism, better productivity at the workplace by presenteeism being reduced. Presenteeism is where we have individuals who come in with mental well-being challenges but still continue to work, and they could be detrimental in the workplace, and that could affect productivity. So when you look at each of these areas, you see a fairly substantial return on the investment made towards mental well-being. Also, according to Associam, we see that 42.5% of Indian employees in the private sector suffer from depression or general anxiety. So what are these triggers? What's causing this depression and anxiety? Is it because you're in the wrong place? Is it because you've taken a decision to join an environment that you're not ready for? Or is there something else? Is it a hostile environment? So let's discuss those challenges that we see. And in the last, in about 18 years, from 2012 to 2030, the World Health Organization projects that the economic loss in India on account of mental health conditions is going to be $1.03 trillion, $1 trillion, which is a significant amount that is going out in terms of this. So there's definitely something that we need to work on, act upon, and you're all here for that purpose. In the age bracket of 18 to 21, this is essentially in the higher education space. We look at 1 out of every 4 individuals who suffer from anxiety symptoms. There could be academic pressure or stressful life events that they've gone through. There are a couple of our panelists over here who are going to discuss and talk about some of these numbers. So while we progress, I'd like to open this conversation, and I'd like to call on Dr. Sindhu.
First things first, I would just like to say we need to recognize mental health wellness as a medical condition. It's as simple as that. It is not an